Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing the Crown Tundra guide series with Zapdos. Zapdos is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, so of course, it holds a little special place in my heart. One of my top Pokemon ever, of all time. I've already said that. Why am I saying it again? Because I like this guy. Anyway, Zapdos is pretty cool. Has very solid stats across the board. Usually was always a supportive Pokemon with things like Tailwind, but we don't have that anymore, so Tailwind Roost strats are not really the go-to anymore. But now that we have Dynamax, you just Dynamax this guy and hit him with really hard attacks like Thunder and Hurricane and stuff like that with Life Orb, and you're just doing a lot of damage with this Pokemon, and that's really it. Dynamaxed and with screens, this thing is taking 0 damage as well, which is really good because of its all-around decent natural bulk as well as like investment potentially and Dynamax. You really get a lot of mileage with this Pokemon as you Dynamax. As far as electric flying typing goes, is pretty solid. Only 2 weaknesses of Ice and Rock. Both are very prevalent in the game, however, but still only 2, which is good to keep, pretty easy to keep track of. 1 immunity and 5 resistances, which is pretty good for, defensive switching. Zapdos can definitely just be switched and brought in against like a max ground attack, That's very good, obviously. Zapdos does get a lot of mileage from instantly maxing. Like, most of the time when you sit across from a Zapdos, they're most likely going to be Dynamaxing on turn 1. Which makes sense, it is a Dynamax Pokemon that has a lot of really good ways of, doing things with max moves, setting its own terrain, activating the max flare. It doesn't really do much for it, but max airstream really is the big one. So, we've seen Dynamax max airstream super powerful turn 1. We've seen that for a while now. It ain't gonna change. That's the way of Zapdos. That's what Zapdos does now. Anyway, let's look at these stats before I move on. So HP at 90 is pretty solid. 85 defense is okay. And special defense at 90 is, once again, pretty solid. Overall, very average bulk. But, being average or, slightly above average on all of it is definitely good. It lets this Pokemon, take some attacks. It can even take some pretty strong max moves from super effective stab moves like Ice and Rock. So, not too bad. You can take a max rock fall from a Landorus or something, so, you have a couple of things going for you as the New Age Zapdos. Special attack at 125 is very strong as well. That plus Life Orb or Expert Belt or whatever kind of damage modifier you have, you're going to be pretty well off with that damage. And then speed at 100 is a pretty good place to be. 167 speed tier, my bad. Those base 100s, there's a lot of Pokemon with the speed tier, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good speed tier to be at. Anyway, that is about it for the overview. Let's go ahead and look at the guide that I have for the Zapdos today, the build for it. So, ability static, not really too much to say there. Its other ability just sucks pressure. It just doesn't really do anything. In this format, we don't really need it. I'd rather have static. You only really have pressure when you have to use pressure, you know what I mean? But ability static is not the worst. I mean, whenever a Pokemon makes physical contact, it will get paralyzed. I think it's like it has a 30% chance. It's just not that good of an ability, but it's what we have, so it's fine. Life Orb is the item. Like I was saying, you just want to Dynamax this Pokemon immediately. You can use other items. There's a lot that work well with this Pokemon. If you already have Life Orb on something like a Dragapult or a Cinderace or something, you have things like Sharp Beak, Expert Belt, or even something like Assault Vest, because this Pokemon doesn't need to not have 4 attacks. You know what I mean? It used to be like a Tailwind machine, but now that we don't have that, Tailwind and Roost isn't really the way. So you could go Assault Vest and just attack everybody. That could be fine. But then you're, of course, going to still be weak to physical attacks. So, yeah. But it's okay. Decent defense is not bad. So, it's okay. As far as the moves go, I went Thunderbolt, Hurricane, Heat Wave, and Detect. It is a little bit customizable, but it doesn't have a very deep move pool to make it super customizable. You could go Thunder over Thunderbolt. I just went for Thunderbolt because I like the better accuracy, but Thunder does give a little bit more damage as a max attack, and when we're, going to be almost always Dynamaxing with Life Orb and just doing a lot of damage, Thunder is definitely a very good option there as well. And then Rising Voltage also offers a lot of damage on max, and then once, if you can keep around that electric terrain from your max Thunders, then Rising Voltage could be really good, but, you don't have to. And then we also have Volt Switch here. Volt Switch is very good on this Pokemon as well. In the single spotlight video, or the single spotlight part of the video, we do feature, Volt Switch. It's good. And then the last option here that I had is Roost. Roost is kind of an outdated thing for Zapdos, but it's still like there and something that you can utilize. But like I said, it's just not really the new age way of doing that. You could use it over Detect if you wanted to, or even potentially over Heat Wave. But I really like this set. I've been finding a lot of success with this set. I think it's good, so I'm not gonna change it. As far as the spread itself goes, 252 into special attack and 252 into speed, Timid Nature, and then our leftover 4 into HP since we're going to be Dynamaxing it all the time. It makes a lot of sense. It's pretty easy. It's pretty basic. This is where I would go to right now. There's been a couple of events and stuff that we've seen, and I saw one of the people that placed at the Players Cup 2 recently was using a Life Orb Zapdos, and his spread was a little different. It just had a little bit of bulk. It was 28 HP, 4 defense, 220 special attack, 4 special defense, and 252 speed with that Timid Nature. So I just wanted to go ahead and, say that was one that got success. It took a little bit away from special attack and went into bulk. I'm sure he did some calcs and figured out how much damage he needed to do, and then just poured the rest into bulk. I don't blame the person, but, you don't have to do it up. You don't have to do it up. I probably would, though, if I was like going to an event, but is what it is. Anyway, that is about it for the guide itself. Not the whole video. We still have speed tiers, damage calcs, and single spotlight if you're interested. But that is it for our VGC set. Let's go ahead and talk about these 2 synergetic Pokemon and then continue. So for the 2 synergetic Pokemon that I've had here, what a weird way of saying it. The other 2 Pokemon that we have here on screen. First off is Grimmsnarl. Of course, on a Dynamaxing, sweeper Pokemon like Zapdos, screens is never a bad thing to have. It also, Grimmsnarl also offers Thunder Wave for some speed control options, as well as potentially even, what's its new move, Spirit Break, that can give you a -1 in special attack. So, being able to benefit Zapdos's damage control with either screens, Spirit Break, Thunder Wave, you have Fake Out. It's just overall a very good supportive Pokemon right now. It's kind of slept on. And if you're looking for screens, it's really Regieleki or Grimmsnarl, but you don't really want to add Regieleki to your Zapdos team. Like, there's just not too much of a point to do that, so Grimmsnarl it is. The other Pokemon I have here is Urshifu. It is the dark fighting. It doesn't really matter because we're using it more so for the fighting ability. For the fighting typing. Destroy those ice and rock Pokemon on our way. Zapdos makes it faster with max, max aerials attack. What was that called? Max Airstream. So that's pretty good. You have a lot of different things for both these Pokemon that kind of help each other. But it is kind of a stretch of one, for sure. I had to take a sip of water. I'm out of mouth liquid. Is that something people say? Anyway, so speed tiers. Speed tiers, here we are. So we're on the same speed tier as a lot of Pokemon. Like I said, base 100 is a very, very populated speed tier to be at. You're on the same speed tier as things like Salamence, Entei, Regigigas, Charizard, Volcarona. There's a lot of weird Pokemon on that speed tier as well, but it's a pretty common place for a lot of Pokemon to be outspeeding. Things like Kartana. A lot of Kartanas invest in bulk and speed, just enough speed to outspeed these boys, and then the rest in the bulk. So you have this is a pretty solid place to be at. A lot of Pokemon will be at 168 that are faster just to outspeed these guys. So that just goes to show how relevant of a speed tier these Pokemon are at. You know what I mean? It's a good speed tier to be at. You outspeed a lot of Pokemon, things like Tapu Lele, Arcanine, Landorus, Therian, Excadrill, Tapu Fini, all these guys under 150, slow boys, Getting outsped by a couple of Pokemon still, though, things like Garchomp, Nihilego, Kartana, Ninetales, Alola. You have all these fast boys, Dragapult, Cinderace, Regieleki, all those fast guys. All of them are outspeeding our poor little Zapdos here, but that's okay, because like I said, we outspeed a lot of things. So it's a competent speed tier to be at, yet still one that can definitely take a couple of max airstreams or tailwind and be pretty happy with it. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for speed tiers. Let's move on to damage calc. So, Doing damage calcs, I kind of saw how crazy this Zapdos is with Life Orb and Dynamax. It does a lot of damage. We're not even Modest Nature. We're just doing a lot of damage right out the get. Is that a term? I keep saying weird terms. Alright, so 252 special attack, Life Orb, Zapdos, Max Lightning. That's a long one. Into a 236 HP, 12 plus, special D, Tapu Fini. This is the most used currently on spread on Pikalytics. So that's where that spreads from. We hit 116 and 138.2, which is guaranteed OHKO. Very good stuff. This even leaves room for a little bit more special D investment, which is good. Can't get through a Calm Mind most likely. Also can't get through the Dynamax, definitely. So, a couple of things to be on the lookout for. But if they Dynamax their Tapu Fini in fear of being OHKO'd by Zapdos, you still 2-hit KO it, and they're doing no damage. So, who's winning? Definitely the Zapdos. Anyway, next we have Zapdos Max Airstream into Urshifu Single Strike. This should not be a surprise. 258 to 305, which is a guaranteed OHKO. There you go. You got a guaranteed OHKO on the two most used Pokemon in the format. Pretty good stuff. Next we have Max Flare into a Assault Vest Dynamaxed Kartana, hitting 127 to 151, which is guaranteed OHKO. There you go. Another top 5, top 10 Pokemon, guaranteed OHKO. Kill that thing, even Dynamax with Assault Vest. Thing's even dead then. Max Flare into Glastrier. This is the first top 10 Pokemon that when I was doing damage calcs, I was pretty sad about the damage. 42 to 49% is a good bit of damage into Dynamax Glastrier, mind you, but it's still guaranteed 3 KO, so still not enough damage to be getting there. But still pretty good damage. Now, when we look at it across the field with Glastrier, we are taking a knockout on the Dynamax Zapdos 100% of the time. Guaranteed OHKO with Life Orb. Now, if you have Weakness Policy, you're also doing it. But if it's raw, it only has like a 48% chance to kill. So, you're not dead. It's a roll. Rolls suck, but it's cool to know that. It's less than 50% Glastrier is going to knock you out, though. Raw. It's a good thing to know. Next, we have Lando T. Max Rockfall into Dynamax Zapdos, hitting 60 to 71%, which is guaranteed 2-hit KO. Pretty easy money there, actually, to not take that much damage. 60 to 70, that's a lot of damage for sure. And, it doesn't, Zapdos doesn't really have any coverage to hit Lando T. But, it's there. Anyway, that is about it for our damage calcs and almost it for the video. Let's talk about Single Spotlight real quick before I end the video. So, Single Spotlight, I ran Heavy Duty Boots because the rocks will kill this guy. Zapdos instantly dies to the Stealth Rock. Not instantly, but it's a lot of damage. Like, it's 50%. It's a chunk. It's a heavy chunk. So, yeah, be careful of that. But other than that, it's pretty much the same spread. Very, very similar in general. Just being a big, Dynamax threat. Heavy Duty Boots, so you don't die to Stealth Rocks, but oh well. It's okay. You could run Roost on this set. It wouldn't be bad. You could run it over Volt Switch, but I do like Volt Switch on the set. You have your Dual Stab, Thunder, and Hurricane for your Dynamax big threat moves. And then you have Weather Ball. Weather Ball is a little odd, but you could go Roost. You could go, whatever you want there. Weather Ball is cool, though. And then you have Volt Switch as well to be able to get out of there if, you don't want to be in that position. Makes sense, right? Volt Switch, you get to bring it in on Heavy Duty Boots if you want to, and then Volt Switch, boom, you out. Single Spotlight, pretty good stuff. Zapdos, same spread, 252 special attack, 252 plus speed, and 4 left over into defense instead of HP. Could go to HP if you want. Anyway, that is it for the Zapdos video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Makes a huge difference. You have no clue. Only like 30 people Only like 30% of people subscribe that watch my videos, so you should subscribe. You should check if you subscribed. Thank you if you did. Thank you a lot if you did just now. And thank you even more if you already are subscribed. Anyway, goodbye.